Hello everybody, welcome to Build Your AutoCAD IQ webinar series. My name's Volker and happy to see all of you here today. And hopefully we'll be able to show you some good stuff today. I'm hoping I like this stuff we're doing here, and I hope you do as well. So for those of you returning, welcome back. For those of you who are new, welcome. Today's webinar is going to be Beyond the Basics, Next for AutoCAD. And before I go any further, I'm actually going to roll out this right now, because I am currently on our third test person, obviously. And that first one is this your first AutoCAD? I always like to know how many of you are new to the show, how many are returning, and those who are returning, always good to see you back. It's always great seeing those smiling emoticons. So, yeah, welcome back. For those who are new, hopefully this will be a great experience for you. Alright, looks like about 94. So let's go ahead and we've got two more here. So the second one, which AutoCAD-based application do you use? So we have AutoCAD, AutoCAD LT, and a lot of the verticals as well as third-party search are out there. They're available. Also, applications like Revit, typically, we tend to do these Build Your AutoCAD IQ webinars and tailor them to both the AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT users. And of course, then it's applicable to all of the vertical applications such as AutoCAD Architecture, Civil 3D, and so forth. I will say this right now, so I don't waste anybody's time. DB Connect for AutoCAD available. AutoCAD is not available for AutoCAD. So I encourage you to watch the show. Learn about the features in AutoCAD, but probably wouldn't be able to apply this in AutoCAD. Actually, you wouldn't be able to. What am I saying? Alright. So one more quick poll and we'll get moving.
Mis manos levantaré.
Have you worked with AutoCAD tables?
Su gloria tocaré.
And right now it's pretty much
Algo está cayendo aquí.
going in another direction right now. The reason I'm asking is because this is another way of working with data.
Mis manos levantaré, oh, y su gloria tocaré.
Check it out. So,
Está cayendo,
we'll be showing you some
su gloria sobre mí. Sanando heridas, levantando al caído, su gloria está aquí. está cayendo aquí.
all day great. Okay, so gives us all a chance to rest up.
Es tan fuerte sobre mí.
And then followed by a third dimension webinar.
Mis manos levantaré.
Webinar
Oh,
and a back
y su gloria tocaré.
So as always,
Está cayendo su gloria sobre mí.
email reminders.
Sanando heridas, levantando al caído, su gloria está aquí. Está cayendo su gloria sobre mí.
AutoCAD,
Sanando heridas, levantando al caído, su gloria está aquí. Su gloria está aquí.
And before we get started,
Su gloria está aquí. Su gloria está aquí.
Presentation is over.
Trying to let you know 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 I must let you know 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 I must let you know 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 근데 전혀 안 통해 눈빛을 보내 눈치를 주네 근데 못 알아듣네
There are a lot of features.
답답해서 미치겠다 정말 왜 그런지 모르겠다 정말 다시 한번 힘을 냈어 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 눈짓도 손짓도 어떤 표정도 소용이 없네 하나도 안 통해 눈치도 눈치도 전혀 없나봐 더 이상 어떻게
Check out the knowledge.
내 맘을 표현해 언제부턴가 난 네가 좋아 되기 싫다했어 바보야 왜 이렇게도 내 맘을 몰라 언제까지 이렇게 둔하게 나를 친구로만 대할래 내가 원하는 건 그게 아닌데 시그널 보내 시그널 보내 찌릿 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 난 너를 원해 난 너를 원해 왜 반응이 없니 만나는 마다 마음을 담아 찌릿 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 기다리잖아 다 보이잖아 왜 알지 못하니 Trying to let you know 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 I must let you know 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 널 보면 웃으면 알아채야지
Link here.
오늘만 몇 번째
To the
널
landing
보며 웃는데
Sign up for those webinars.
자꾸만 걸면 느껴야지 계속 네 곁에 머물러 있는데
Into the chat window.
언제부턴가 난 네가 좋아 되기 싫다했어 바보야 왜 이렇게도 내 맘을 몰라 언제까지 이렇게 둔하게 나를 친구로만 대할래 내가 원하는 건 그게 아닌데 시그널 보내 시그널 보내 찌릿 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 난 너를 원해 난 너를 원해 왜 반응이 없니 만나는 마다 마음을 담아 찌릿 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 기다리잖아 다 보이잖아 왜 알지 못하니 뚜루뚜뚜 뚜루뚜뚜 찌릿 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 뚜루뚜뚜 뚜루뚜뚜 왜 반응이 없니 뚜루뚜뚜 뚜루뚜뚜 찌릿 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 뚜루뚜뚜 뚜루뚜뚜 왜 알지 못하니 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 근데 전혀 안 통해 눈빛을 보내 눈치를 주네 근데 못 알아듣네
But it doesn't allow you
답답해서 미치겠다 정말 왜 그런지 모르겠다 정말 다시 한 번 일을 냈어 사인을 보내 시그널 보내
if you're using DBase, even Microsoft Excel spreadsheets. So this is a way to tie in and work with your data and view that data in a what's called a data viewer or a table in an AutoCAD drawing. So we'll begin a little bit working with a database. I've created one that'll be part of the data set that's available for you for those who don't know too much about databases. It's a very simple database with one table. We'll talk a little bit about tables. I've already created them, so we're not going to create them in this session, but we will create a data connection as between AutoCAD and that Access database. Then we'll take a look at the AutoCAD Data View table, which is basically the Access table in AutoCAD, and how you can link and even label objects in the AutoCAD drawing using this utility. I've also added some additional resources in the slide deck for when you download it, talking a little bit more about the DB Connect Manager, and the first or the second and third link, accessing external databases with AutoCAD and AutoCAD database connectivity. I just want to point those out. Those are links to two books which are available. I will say that I believe both of these books were written for AutoCAD 2000. One of them may have been written for 2004, but there's not much written literature about DB Connect, especially since we now have the tables with linking to Excel and AutoCAD. So it's been kind of neglected, but it is a powerful tool. So additional information on the additional resources page. Oops, we don't want to say goodbye yet. Let's go ahead and take a look at the AutoCAD environment real quick. And let's go ahead and maximize this. There we go. All right, so DB Connect, like I said earlier, is a utility that was introduced in AutoCAD 2000. Unless you have toolbars, you're not going to find DB Connect on the ribbon. Okay, it's not going to be a palette listed with all the other palettes. It is a palette, but it's just not available there. It is available on the Tools toolbar in AutoCAD. I don't have the toolbars enabled here, so I am going to type in DBC for DB Connect, which brings up this palette here. And I can dock that just like an AutoCAD, any other AutoCAD palette, but as you can see, it's kind of an older style palette. It does have some of the functionality of the newer palettes, but for the most part, the icons and such actually look a little old-fashioned compared to the newer ones we have available. Having done that, just to show you where that command is as a command prompt and what the dialog looks like, let's now take a look at the Microsoft Access portion of this. I'm using Microsoft Access 2013, and I think 2016 is now the newest version. But what I've done is I've created a table here, and it's just a very simple one. I could have gone into creating multiple tables, creating relationships, but this isn't about this being an Access class. Okay, it's more about AutoCAD and working with that Access data. And here I have some PC models. Some are workstations, some are laptops, the manufacturer, PC cost. I could have maybe put in another column here, which would be quantity or something, which could be used with the DB Connect utility, but I didn't. And I didn't put more information in here either because that's just a lot of typing. And so we'll let it go at that. All right, so this is the table we'll be working with. I wanted you to see that right now. Now, the way it works with AutoCAD and Microsoft Access is that in order for them to communicate, we need to actually create a connection, a way for those two applications to communicate. And one of these is we need to create a use a data provider to speak to the Access database. And the way we do this is, well, there are a couple of different ways. You could go through Control Panel. I typically tend to just type in ODBC, ODBC at the in the search field. And under Programs here, we have listed Data Sources, ODBC. One thing I want to point out is that I am using Microsoft Office 2013. It's a 64-bit Office. I'm also using a 64-bit version of AutoCAD. In order for these applications to talk to each other, I had to download 64-bit drivers. Okay, so in this case, I downloaded the 64-bit Microsoft Access 2013 runtime, which is easily available from the Microsoft website. I've put a link into the script as well as that slide I showed you. I'm not going to recreate the data connection here. The provider is installed, and I've called this by clicking on Add here. Okay, I have selected the Microsoft Access driver, and I'll cancel out of that. Once I did that, it had me provide a name for that, which is the DB Connect, or a B2B Connect name that I used here. Okay. Then the second thing I did was I had to tell AutoCAD what this driver was going to be speaking to. So what database? So all I had to do was go through here and browse to my database location and select that. Again, these dialogues are a little bit older, and it does make it hard to work with the longer file names we have nowadays, but I can live with it. Anyway, so that is creating the ODBC data source. And that's all we really had to do there, was just quickly connect that. And I've, in the script, for those who've never done this before, I've provided step-by-steps. Once I did that, I'm going to go ahead and open up my working drawing right now. Once I did that, in the database connection manager, DB Connect, I had to tell AutoCAD, look, this is the provider I'm working with, and I need to configure that data source. And what we're going to do is we're going to create what's called a UDL file. Okay, this is it's actually a Microsoft data link file. Why it's called UDL? Only the people who threw this together know. Actually, at one time I knew, but that was years ago, and I forget. So we're going to go ahead and just give this here a name. You could call it anything, Fred, if you wanted to, but I'm going to be a little more specific, and I'm going to call it DB PC data, and I'll click OK. And once I do that, I need to select the Microsoft OLEDB provider for ODBC drivers. Okay, and depending on what kind of a provider, data source and providers you have available, what kind of a database you're working with, you're going to have to select a different provider, but this is the one that works well for the scenario that I'm working with. Now I can either click Next or click on the Connection tab. Either one takes me to that Connection tab. And then under Use Data Source Name, I'm going to select the B2B Connect. And all I have to do right now is make sure that the connection works. If the database were password protected, I'd want to add that here or be prompted every time I use the tool. I'm going to click Test Connection, and it succeeded. So I'll click OK, and I'm done with that. You'll see that now under Data Sources, we have a new UDL, and this is DB PC Data. I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm going to click Options. And I just want to show you quickly that under the Files tab, Support File Search Path Name, we have this data source location. This, you can redirect this. You can also, just knowing where this is at, you could open up that folder and actually just delete those UDL files or copy new ones in there that you've created elsewhere. Of course, there's still going to be some configuring, but the naming convention will be the same. So just for what it's worth, it's right there. All right. So we've created a way for AutoCAD to speak with the Microsoft Access database. And now we're going to have a quick introduction to the data viewer in AutoCAD's DB Connect. And right now you'll see a little, I know it's probably a little harder to see, but there's a little X going through the database symbol here. And that just means that, yeah, everything's set up, but nothing's talking right now. All I have to do though is double click on that, and I've made that connection. I've opened up the communication. And obviously, just taking a look, it shows that there's one table in that database, and that also is a good indication that everything is communicating as it should. I have options here. I can right-click to view or edit this table, create a link template or label template, or even create a query. And the same goes for the icons up here. They pretty much do the same thing. Edit, view, new query, new link template, new label template. And like I said, they're kind of old-fashioned icons, but they still do the job. Anyway, I am just going to double-click on this table, and it opens up the data view. And again, some of the older icons here we can create, or both link and label templates here. We can view linked objects in the drawing, view linked records in the data viewer by selecting an object in the drawing. Auto view will actually zoom in, or it will show you where the object is in the drawing. There's some settings we'll change later which will allow us to automatically zoom in on those objects. So it's kind of a cool functionality there as well. We can create a query, we can print this data view, and we can change some options here. Right now, anything I do in this table, for example, if I want to add another PC to this table, and I'm going to do that, we'll call this the TRTL 100, and it'll be by Acme Computing or Electronics, I think I put in the script. And in this case, it'll be a tablet, not a computer, and we'll just make up a number like $299, and we have added that to this table. So what happens here is that I'm going to close this, and actually I'll just go ahead and close AutoCAD. We do need to do that because if I go into Access, you will see that we have made those changes to the Access database table. So anything we do in AutoCAD, deleting records or adding records to the table are going to be automatically committed to the Access database. And we'll go ahead and cruise right back into AutoCAD. And I was just thinking as this starts up that I should probably go ahead and activate it one day. I'll probably wait till the last minute. But either way, we've gone ahead and taken a look to see what the data viewer does with the Access database table. So be careful about that if you're doing this. You could be very productive or very counterproductive. Databases tend to commit or save the moment you add information to them. All right, I'm going to go ahead now and we're going to talk a little bit about what are called link templates and label templates. So we're going to create some links and associate them with an object in the drawing and label those objects as well. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is create what is called a link template. This defines what field in the Access database is going to be associated with the object. Now, right-clicking over Table PC Table in the data source, I'm going to select New Link Template. And this here works the way it typically did in databases where we cannot have spaces in a name. Okay, so we're just going to call this here, I think I called it PC link. And you'll notice if I put a space there actually and start typing, let's see, link, the continue button grays out. So in case that's grayed out, it's because you've got a space in there. So I'm going to call this PC link and I'm going to click continue. I could have also started with an existing template, which I don't have. I'm going to click continue. And in this link template dialog, I'm going to choose what field I want to associate with that object in the drawing. In this case, I'm going to use PC model. And I'm going to click OK, and we've created a link template, which now appears in the DB Connect Manager. I'll right mouse click over that link, and you'll see here we can view or edit the table. Again, we can delete this link template. We can modify it, and we need to change the name or choose a different field. We can also create a copy of it to use with a different field in the database, as well as some other options down here. So we'll go ahead and get out of that. Let's go ahead and create a new label template. Works the same way. We're going to call this PC label. I'm going to click continue. And again, this is older technology. If anybody remembers the earlier M-text editor, this should be a blast from the past, okay? Because this is basically what that M-text editor looked like. There's some different functionality here, though. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and go to the Character tab here to assign a text type for my label. In this case, I'm just going to type 3 inches. And I think I'll leave it at that. As you can see, there are other options here. We could add some symbology, including anything from the Windows character map, any kind of symbols within that font, change the color, underline, bold, etc., just like in any other text editor. We also have properties here where we can change justification, rotation, width, etc. A find and replace option, And we have label fields and label offset. So the label offset will, I'll talk more about that as we place some labels in the drawing, how this might be important to you. For right now, I'm going to choose label fields. And here we have this drop-down list for all the different fields within that database. And again, I'm going to choose PC model, and I'm going to click Add. And you could append or put a suffix on this text just by typing in this editor. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it as is and click OK. We have successfully created a PC label for our project here. Alrighty, so let's put that stuff to use. Let's go ahead and link some objects here and see how that works, and add some labels as well. So I am going to open up the data viewer by double-clicking on it. And for right now, let's go ahead and just kind of drag this off to the side and dock it. This data viewer does not dock or anything, so just be aware of that. But one of the things that, first thing I'll show you here actually, is how we can assign a link. There are actually 3 settings for creating links. Okay, one is just to create a link. And basically, unless you were to select the object or do some kind of a query or use the data viewer, you would not know that an object is linked unless you select it and right mouse click. You would then, in the context menu, see that a link was assigned, and you could manage it through that. You can also create an attached label using the template we just created, or a freestanding label. I'm going to go ahead and just keep it on Create Links. I'm then going to select the same row, and I'm going to select Link. And we'll go ahead and use this guy here as our guinea pig. And having done that, it highlights the row or the record that was linked to an object. We can change that color. But again, I can't tell that anything has been linked here unless I right mouse click, and here I can either export that link, delete the link, or go into the link manager. I'm going to go ahead though right now and label this link. And it lists the link template that we have, or the label template I should say, and I'm just going to say OK, and it creates this label. So you need to, the thing I'm going to get to here is, one, you need to think about your text height. Also the labels themselves, it's kind of clunky. Can't say more than that about it. It's kind of clunky. It makes it a little hard to adjust. If I just select the text though, it's going to move the text as well as the leader assigned to it. If I were to select the leader, then it just moves the leader and leaves the text in place. Okay, so you may need to do some adjusting if you want to see the label here. This is where in the label editor, when you created that, if you were to go to the that last tab, and now I forget the title on it, but in that MText editor, you can change the offset and the spacing between the objects when using a leader label. All right, having done this, I'm going to go ahead and select the object again, right mouse click, link, and I'm going to delete the link. And that removes everything. So it's no longer linked in the database, and it has removed all the text and the leader as well. I'm going to open up that data viewer again, and I'm going to go ahead and again, I'll use a different one this time. I'll use the Alpha 01. And this time I'm just going to go ahead and create an attached label. I'll go ahead and say link that, and it creates this. Now, here's a cool little thing. If I select the object, and I'm just going to right mouse click and drag this for a to make a copy. All right. I'm going to copy that here. It also copies the existing link. So it's not a big deal just to link one object, then make copies of it and place it elsewhere in the drawing. And once you've done that, you would select your new object. Let's go ahead and close this. You would select your new object and go into the link, right mouse click, link manager. And what you can do now is assign this new object to a different model of computer. So selecting under the value field in the link manager, there's a little button once you click in that field. That brings up some column values for the PC model, all the values in that column. And here I can select, say, the ZX1000 and click OK. Now here's the thing, it did not update. Kind of like an attribute, you know, we have to synchronize the attribute. In this case, we don't have to go quite that far. If it doesn't update, select that object again, go into Label, right mouse click, go into Label, and just reload, and it'll update. All right, we're going to take another look at that. And this time, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little ways here, just so we can see the other computers we have. And I'm going to go ahead and pretty much do the same thing I just did a moment ago. I'm going to go ahead and link with attached labels, link, and yeah, awkward moment here. Yeah. And select link. There we go. All right. Pick, 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 pick. So I can also do it this way. And then again, I would want to go ahead and probably change that. And let's go ahead and just go into Link Manager. And this is actually the longer way of doing it, but it's the choice I made, and I'm going to have to live with it. And so are you, unless, of course, you don't want to. You could probably read a book, I guess. All right, so let's go ahead and just change more label here. Whoops, I wanted Link Manager, didn't I? All right, we'll change one more and then we'll leave it be. Let's go with the Turbo 7. All right. And we reload that. So you should all know how to do that by now. So here's a nice little thing though, going back into that data viewer. We're going to go ahead and select one of these, and we can do something like view linked object. So where are all the alpha 01s? Okay, so I'm going to select view linked object, and it has zoomed me in to where that object is with that particular link assigned to it. Now it doesn't do this by default, all right? You need to go into the, and I clicked on this little button right here, which is the data view and query options. I clicked on that, and I had to enable, by default this is set to something like this. Unchecked, unselected for automatically pan drawing, and unchecked for automatically zoom drawing. So we do want to make sure those are checked, and then every time you choose to view the record, it'll zoom in as best as it can. If there's more than one object, it's only going to zoom out so far. It needs to show all those objects. So let's try that with the ZX100, in fact, and see it had to zoom out, but it's showing me all three of those. Okay. One more, actually two more items if we have time here. One more if we don't. And, oh, we already did that, so we're going to go to the last item that I want to talk about. Again, keep in mind this is a glossy overview of the DB Connect utility. There's a lot of things you can do with this that we don't have time for in this presentation. And one of those is the ability to create queries. This, again, it's not a database class, but I do want to show this bit of functionality here. Even if you don't know too much about queries, you can click on the New Query button in the database viewer, or you could right-click over the table in the DB Connect Manager and select New Query. Either way, it brings up the New Query dialog. You can give it a name. I'm just going to leave the default for right now because I'm kind of ad-libbing this one here. Wanted to show it if I had time, and I do. I don't have any existing queries to work with, so I'm just going to click Continue. And what's nice about this query editor, so queries are created using what's called SQL, or Structured Query Language. You can get pretty ding-dang complex with these queries. You could actually build an entire SQL database with a query. Okay, we're not going to go anywhere near that. I just wanted to show the functionality here and kind of show you a nice thing for people who aren't familiar with queries, who really don't want to know that much about it. There's this quick query builder. Here I can choose a field, PC model or PC type. I'll do that. That's totally ad-libbing right now. And I'm going to say I want it equal to, and since I can't recall what all the values were, I'm just going to click on Lookup Values, and I'll say, okay, find all the PC types that are a workstation. And it doesn't matter what tag or field I used in my link template. This is completely different here. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to, well, actually I'd run execute, but let's take a look at a couple of the tabs here. We can add additional parameters using the range query, using a query builder, which is kind of like a little wizard that allows you to build on top of this quick query. Or if you are into writing SQL, all right, this is what we told by clicking on the SQL query tab. This is what I told the quick query. I said select from the table PC where the PC type is equal to workstation. Okay, those are the computers or objects I want to see in this drawing when I click execute. And I could add on to this. I could say, and PC model is the ZX1000 or whatever. Either way, I'm going to click execute, and it selects all of those which are workstations, and in the data view it shows me what PC models those are and PC types. So again, it can be a very complex query, it can be a very quick query, and there's a lot more you can do with these link templates and different methods to synchronize, different ways to work with the objects in your drawings, but at least this gives you a taste of what DB Connect is all about. The resources on the PowerPoint that I am providing, those will help you if you want to explore this any further. Speaking of PowerPoints, I'm going to go ahead and go back to our slides here real quick. This is the resource page I referred to earlier. So before we quit here, I have two things I'd like to do. One, just always want to thank you for joining us. We're going to do some Q&A here in a moment. Don't forget you can email us if you'd like to, if you have questions or requests. And be sure to put Build Your AutoCAD IQ in the subject line. Otherwise, we don't know if you're talking about Revit or licensing and installing or Fusion 360 or whatever else we have webinars on. You're also welcome to leave feedback in our forum on our feedback page, our landing page. Right now, one last poll, just out of curiosity. Did you learn something new in today's session? This is where we find out if these things are worthwhile or not. And so it's looking like about 3% are saying no, and 97% are saying yes. 98% yes, 96% yes, 4% no. So it's switching back and forth. So we're talking a little bit over 95% of you have learned something new. And I'm going to go ahead and close that and just share it real quick. And let's go ahead and share. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So first of all, for those of you who learned something, that makes it worthwhile for us to do this. It's always good to hear you did learn something, and hopefully we can provide you with more learning opportunities as the weeks go by. For those of you who didn't learn so much, or maybe just you picked up something you forgot about, you know, we still are very grateful that you've joined us, and hopefully we didn't bore you too much. I think I only had one awkward moment today, so I was doing pretty good. And let us just kind of move on to the Q&A. All right, so check with Naman and Ryan, see if there's anything that needs to be answered.
Well, somebody had asked about the text. Can you have a leader, or can you turn off the leader somehow?
Oh, yeah. The one thing I did not demonstrate was the freestanding text. So the freestanding label in the data link. So let's see if we can just do that real quick. Ad-libbing on this one. So if I just go ahead and I'll zoom in on this link here, and we'll go ahead and go label and detach label, keep link, and that should do it. Yeah, okay, so that keeps the link. Label. Can't remember if this one will do it or not. No, I'm going to have to remove that link. So that needs to be done initially. And I just never really worried about it that much. I always use the label, but hey, it's been years since we used this link. Create links, create freestanding labels, and select link. So it prompts me for a location for the label. I already had this selected. And there we go. And of course, after that, you can move that label wherever you want. Hopefully that was the question.
Yes, that was the question. I had posted a help file link to it as well that explains how
Okay.
those labels work.
Great, great. Thank you.
So people are not frustrated, Walker. One more, somebody had pointed out about the 32-bit of Office 365 or Access and on a 64-bit machine. And they had mentioned about a driver that you can get, make sure you get the 64-bit drivers. Can you touch on that again?
Right. So Microsoft, typically when people install the Microsoft Office, even if they're running on a Windows 64-bit machine, chances are they've installed their Microsoft Office as a Microsoft 32-bit Office. And if you're going to work with AutoCAD 64-bit and 32-bit Office, then you're not going to be able to connect to, say, Microsoft Access. In fact, when AutoCAD Map 2011 came out, it came with the 64-bit drivers, I think, or maybe it was the other way. Yeah, 64-bit drivers, but Office had the 32-bit drivers, and people weren't able to make connections to their data. You know, something like that, the scenario was. Anyway, so what you need to do in order to communicate, you need to be on the same platform, okay? So 64-bit AutoCAD would require, if you're using Access anyway, it would require you to have the 64-bit Office, and then you would go, let me find that link here, then you would want to go to this link here for the Microsoft download page for the Microsoft Access 2013 runtime. When you download it, it'll prompt you whether you want to download the 32-bit or 64-bit runtime engine. I'm not sure if that clarifies it or not. Bottom line is you need the same numbers. 32-bit or 64-bit applications are going to have to be running the same architecture. I don't know of any, Ryan, do you know of any connectivity that would allow for 32-bit to 64-bit? I don't.
No, I don't know of any. You'll run into the same problem if you try to use Data Link Manager too, because it uses Excel.
Right. So yeah, it's just something you have to be aware of what architecture your applications are and your operating system, and yeah. So be aware of those type of things, and Access is the only one I'm aware of where you can download these drivers. I would imagine SQL Server, Oracle, and so on. I think they all install everything that's needed for a connection. Did that help at all?
I think you answered the question. Well, it wasn't a question, it was a statement. I just wanted clarification on that. If somebody had also asked, is there any way to see what objects are connected via a link template or label template?
Well, that is actually when you're in here, this view linked objects is going to show you every object that is linked to this particular record. You can also, let's see, I think here, yeah, that was it right there. So basically in the data view, I had to get up to speed on this again. It was really fun working with this again. So, but view linked objects, and you know, you can select, see, more than one record to view linked objects, and it's going to show you the different objects that were selected. There's the Turbo 7, there's the I forget what I called that one there, SLZGK0. I forget what that was for, slow go or something. I don't know. But yeah, so you can select using the data view table. You can see what objects are linked in the drawing. So if you don't have a label, this is how you would do that.
Perfect. Thanks for that help.
All right. Well, I guess we'll call it a day if that's about it. Again, I know your time's valuable, so we all know that on our team. So we're always happy that you show up, and we don't take you for granted, okay? And hopefully we'll continue to provide you with some good stuff as the weeks move on. I wish you guys a happy and safe 4th of July holiday. Be careful, because we do want to see you come back. Take care.